Welcome back. We are at Thruxton. This is the 2-3 race. It's round 2 of the Tuesday evening spring series, hosted by Behind the Bike Shed. And Thruxton's a really good racetrack, and there isn't too many opportunities to race here, so I do try and get down when there are races held on this track, because it's a really, it's actually the fastest motor racing track in the UK, so I've heard. And it's a really great place to race a bike. It's super wide, super safe, and it's quite interesting actually, because the wind affects the race a lot. There is a chicane, and there's also a kicker in the last kind of 300-400 meters before the finish, so it does make the racing quite interesting here, so I like it. So we've started the race, and there's always that first thing with what moves do you follow, how much effort do you put in. Looks like Draft Racing are keen to get things going. They've been the main aggressors from the start here. Now this is the set of 3 corners where you have a right-hander followed by a left-hander and another right-hander. And now you can take all of these at full speed. You don't necessarily need to slow down if you're on the front. You can take your own line, but things would get a bit slower through here as people were trying to navigate these corners in the wet. And then right here, as you turn into the right, this is when the wind would affect the race the most, because you would get full shelter if you're on the left-hand side of riders. The wind's coming at us from the right here. It's a cross headwind. So nothing's got away, and here we go, another move goes. So I'm just following at this point. I don't need to snap to that. There's plenty of riders in this race that are keen to get to move, so I'm going to wait for the whole bunch to start moving, and then I'm going to go with it. And because this is the most windy point of the course here, this is a good tactic, because I'm getting full shelter now from all the riders on my right hand side. So I'm not worried about chasing everything right away, because while riders are fresh, they will probably stitch things back together. But you do have to be attentive, because it's really windy, and we're all getting a feel for the circuit and for the wind at the moment. And I'm starting to think that it could break apart definitely this race, because when it's windy, gaps form and groups get away. So I've got to be attentive, so I can't fall back, can't stay at the back. So this is pure headwind here, so I'm getting nice draft here, and I start to think about moving up, I think. So you come around this far section of the course, and then you come to what I guess you'd call the back straight, which is the fastest section of the track usually. This is a very slight downhill coming down here, not much at all really, but it is the fastest section. You'd be well over 30 miles an hour every time down here. And then as we turn to the right, the wind starts to begin to be a kind of cross tail, which then brings you up to this very slight kicker where there's a chicane, and then back to the finish line. So things are pretty easy here. Whatever's gone off the front has been brought back, and I'm thinking of moving my way up slowly on this kind of slight tailwind section. And here we go, I'm moving up through riders. Speed's nice and high, and you can see people on completely different sides of the track here. Obviously there's an ease up on the left and someone's gone on the right, so people are snapping onto the right to get to it. I want to follow here, but I want to kind of get there with use as little energy as possible. So this rider here, he looks super strong. He just kind of doesn't look like he's putting any effort in, and he's closing gaps, so I think that's a great wheel to sit on. So I follow him, and now the gradient starts to rise slowly, so the speed gets lower, and here we go. This rider puts in a dig. He just had really great form on the bike, so I just followed. I had the golden ticket, I was on his wheel, and I thought, why not follow? And he starts smashing, and we're going up this kind of 3% kicker here, and yeah, we're consistently putting out high power, and he doesn't look back. He takes us through the chicane. We're about to come up to the chicane, and I can feel that everyone behind me is all lined out, and here we go, this is the chicane. You can kind of pedal through, but you can't like sprint through. It is quite narrow, and it is hard for groups of riders to get through. You do have to kind of line out through there. So here we go, this rider peels off, and I want to get things going, because I feel like the race is going to break apart, and he just did a big effort up there. I got nice draft through there, so I'm just going to keep the speed high and keep things moving. So we're still trucking along at 31 miles an hour here. It starts to level out now, it's flat. We've gone through the finish line, and I'm looking over my shoulder and I'm keen to get things going and stay with a group of riders. Now I see two guys from draft racing come through and they're really keen, and that's a good sign for me because they're obviously keen to get in a breakaway. You know, if I'm with them, that's a good place to be. So all of the riders around me now are pulling through and taking their turns, and I don't want to slip back and miss this move. So I'd snap back onto the same wheel I had before, and I know that there's a gap now to the bunch behind me. Just a small gap, but there is one. So we're all talking to each other, I think, and encouraging each other to keep the speed high and keep working at it until there is an established gap. And we've only done one lap. So, and here we go now. This is where, if guys weren't confident in the corners, you lose time. So I think I was speaking to the guys around me saying, come on, we can pedal through there, let's keep the speed high. You don't need to slow down on those chicanes. And you can make a lot of time on the group if you're a small group and you're going through them at max speed. So here we go. Now I look round, see what the level of the gap is. I think it's not too bad. So I flick the elbow and I want to get some shelter here because this is the windiest part of the course. The wind's coming from the right hand side. So I'm getting good shelter now coming back on the left, but I've got to surge through here as there's only a small group of us here. Only about 5 of us working at the moment. Because I think there's a gap to the main group and there's a couple more riders who start to snap close and jump across to us, and this is it. This is how the break is formed. We're on the second lap and the break is formed, which is crazy. Really, that's really early. I wouldn't think it would go that early, but if you get some strong riders who are all working in a break, it's next to impossible to bring it back. So I think we do start to form up. From 5 riders, we get up to 7 riders, and we all rotate. There's no hesitation, and it's near on impossible for a peloton to bring back 7 riders that are all working in harmony, unless the peloton has a team of 5 riders all working together at the front, and they're stronger than us as a 7. But that's just not going to happen in a 2-3 race. They don't have the numbers, so it's going to be too disjointed behind. And we all know this. This is why we're all working hard now to establish the gap. It's hard for riders to jump across a big gap because it's windy today. So yeah, you can get across a 10-second, 15-second gap, but if we're all chugging along and we get 20 seconds on you, it's going to be really hard for you to get up there. You need to orchestrate, 3 of you to go crazy for a lap to get up to us. So things are looking good. We're coming back round to the fast kind of tail crosswind section of the course now. And that's basically all she wrote, guys. We got organised as a group and we kept on riding. And at this point, I'm thinking this is going to be a long evening out because here we go. Guys are telling us all to rotate through. This guy on the right who was just gesticulating for us to ride through, he actually got dropped off the back. So I don't know how. I mean, maybe he had a mechanical or something, but there was 2 from his team and then there was only 1. So he was giving it the big uns with the arms and then he was no longer with us. So I'm not sure what happened there. So maybe there's 8 of us at this point and it goes down to 7. But yeah, we all just keep working. And this was hard. Like, to establish this gap is the biggest effort of the race. I think we did a really solid kind of 5-minute effort to establish this gap. And it's worth it, though, because then you're in the magic seat, aren't you? And here we go. There's another couple of riders you've not seen before who have bridged across to us. That was a big effort for them. But they do start rotating with us because everyone wants everyone else to rotate. If 2 riders stop pulling through, the group will notice that, and then we're not going to have harmony, and we're going to go slower. And what will happen is the stronger riders who are in this group will want to get rid of the riders who aren't working. So we'll start attacking each other, and then that stop-start nature means we would go slower, and that potentially we could then be brought back. So it's in everyone's interest to roll your turns, keep pulling through, and get the group moving as fast as possible. You can do attacks later into the race, but with like 50 minutes left to race, you want to work together to establish a gap first, because you're also establishing your position in a top 10. You're going to get a top 10 in this race if you hang with this break. And, you know, likely you'll get a top 5, you could get up to the podium and you could even win. So it's a good place to be off the front of the one right now. So I'm going to fast forward, and we eventually got into a good rhythm and started rolling through. Still, there was some gaps being left in corners and things. It could have been tighter, but we do get things smoother and we do roll through, and we just do a chain gang for about 55 minutes, I think. I've just jumped back to put this bit in because it did make me chuckle. This rider couldn't pull through on the, you know, -1% downhill bit. I just thought it was interesting because if I was on the 2% kicker bit, I could absolutely say I'm too heavy to pull through. There is about over 20 kilograms weight difference between us. But that's the beauty of this sport. Anyone can do it, and it plays to everyone's different strengths. So you join me as we go through the finish for the penultimate time. We are entering the bell lap, 1 lap to go. So there's 5 minutes left in this race. Now, this is where the games start, and it was really hard to play this one right. I decided I was going to try and bank on a sprint because I did not feel strong enough to get off the front from this group. So I come through here to the front, and this I decide is going to be my last turn. So I do a soft turn, really soft turn. I just want to roll through and basically get out of there. So I peel off, look over my shoulder, encourage others to come through. And now what I'm thinking is I want to pick the strongest rider's wheel, and I want to sit on that wheel. So this guy here who just peels off with the incredible form, I decide I'm going to plant myself on his wheel, and I think that's going to be my ticket to getting a good result. So I do exactly that, and I'm going to hope that he covers things, because he just seemed like he was doing more work than us the whole race, and I felt like he would close gaps in the final. So weirdly, I think there's 2 draft riders in this group, remember, and I think one of them does attack here, and there's a gap. So I'm leaning on the rider in front of me to close it, but I know that they're turning right now into the headwind, cross headwind section, so I'm not too worried. This rider looks super strong, so I'm going to let him close it for me now in the headwind. So the 2 riders out front are attacking, and they're eating a lot of wind. This guy is eating a lot of wind. I'm sitting pretty, and there we go, he's closed it. Now I'm staying attentive, making sure other riders aren't going to attack. We are going to some solid wind right now, so it would be you wouldn't get a huge speed differential if you attack right now. You're attacking into a strong wind. And here we go, the elbows are flicking. I don't want to come through. I would rather attack after the headwind as we come into the crosstail. So I'm being super attentive. Other riders are coming through. But I do, and here we go, the rider who I picked out has attacked. He's done a big seated attack, and I am wise to it, and I am snapping to it, and I'm not letting that go. And this was a big old effort, and yeah, right now I've had a nice pass down that headwind section, and now he's attacking into the headwind as it starts to turn into kind of cross tail. And again, I've got a great ticket, and I followed the move, which was a big effort. It was so strong. And he's still chugging, but then he does look over his shoulder and he asks for some help. Now I shake the head. I actually kind of regret this because I had such a good kind of like last couple of minutes up to this point where I was probably fresher than the rest. I should have attacked here. I should have pulled through. What I was nervous was that if I pulled through, he would have got on my wheel, and then it would have been the 2 of us, and he could have dropped me on the kicker. That was what I was worried about. I didn't have the courage to attack, and I should have, and I regret it. So it's all been neutralized now because I've not gone through. There was a slight gap to people behind. It was really lined out, and they've all come back to us, obviously. So right now I'm all in for a sprint. I think everyone else is all in for a sprint. So the question is who's going to lead us up the kicker into the chicane where it's 300 meters to go for the final. Now, no one wants to do that job because that's a suicide pass. But fortunately, there are 2 riders from draft, remember, and one of them decides to commit for a full-on lead-out for his teammate, which is admirable. And here they go. They start to come through to the front and wind things up slowly. So we all fall in line and get on their wheels. And this is it, a 7-man breakaway coming to the line for a sprint. So we get on those wheels. The gradient starts to rise now. It goes to 1%, 2%. you start to put out power. You can't help it. You need to follow the wheels. You need to get up this. So the power starts rising, 400 watts, 500 watts, goes to 600 watts at points, and we're following. And I'm thinking, okay, I need to actually get a bit further up here. I'm a little bit too far back, so I don't want to stay on this rider's wheel anymore. And I can see that there's a wheel right on the left of me. He's moving up too. Here we go. Now I'm too far back. I'm second or third to the last at this point. So I try and move up a little bit here. And now here we go. I'm fifth wheel. It's still too far back. I should be ideally third wheel here. But I've left it too late. I should have moved up. And we're going for the chicane. And boom, the draft lead out finishes. And the draft rider starts to sprint. And we can't snap to it. Through the chicane, you can't move up. And if I finally get some daylight here and I start to sprint and I lose a bit of traction in my back wheel and I just have no legs, and the gap is going out in front of me and I have to sit back down, put it in a bigger gear, try again, keep pushing, and I do a bike throw and I managed to come home third. So yeah, didn't play it perfectly, but managed to come away with the podium at least. Could have done the last half a lot better. Lots to learn, lots to improve on, but still a good result at the end of the day and a great evening out. So thanks for watching and see you next time.